The 1.1.1 update is already out for 2 days now, followed up with the recent 1.1.2 update. Both came with few enhancements, a lot of balances, bug fixes, new stuff to do, and more. I'm the Samurai, and in this video I will be sharing my thoughts about each of the major changes, fixes, and additions, while also hoping to hear your thoughts regarding the state of the game. The first things that I would like to talk about are the overall character changes and balances, huge nerfs, and bug fixes. 60 to 70% of the things added in the latest updates affected character balances and bug fixes, and undoubtedly, Cygames prioritized and focused on these aspects rather than heavy quality of life changes, which I will discuss later on. Now I am not going to dive into each character and state all of the changes made, since by this time it is likely that you already know the said changes, especially if your mains were the ones who received the major changes. But I want to share my thoughts regarding Rackham, Fairy, and Percival. Seasoned players knows that the latest changes for the said characters will eventually come, since these characters are really broken in my opinion in the past. Seeing those jumping Rackhams that deal tons of damage by just jumping in midair and firing at will feels kinda awkward at times. Or like Fairy, which can quickly fill her SBA gauge by just jumping as well and by just doing a combo finisher. Or even Percival, who can deal tons of damage due to exploits and bugs. I don't know about you, but in my case, I tend to love a game in which every character works like they were intended, and I'm pretty much happy that Cygames already addressed these changes. Now, a lot of people might disagree with me, especially if they love these kinds of exploits or tailoring their builds around the said exploits, but since I started gaming, I always wanted everything to be done fairly. Meaning, if there are huge exploits in the game, I'm one of the first players who will say no to these exploits. If I need to grind for days just to get certain stuff, or if I need to go into a needle hole just to beat a certain modes or bosses, I would gladly do it rather than relying on exploits. Although many people will ask me what's the issue in these exploits, since I am not affected by these exploits in any way, and in my honest opinion, even though this is true and there are no kinds of real competition in Relink, like PvP or something, these exploits still affects me to some degree. Of course, there were a lot of changes in balances that I didn't mention, particularly dodge cancels and stuff. So going back why I am affected, I love playing Relink or any other games, and seeing that some things that are not working properly troubles me a lot, believe it or not. I tend to check what would be the developers will do, since in this way I'm kind of using this to gauge them if they really care about the game or their player base. And I am happy to see that Cygames are really listening to their community by addressing these changes. Now moving on to the thoughts on the new raid. Lucilius raid, aka the final vision, dropped along with the 1.1 update, and this is one of the things that we've all been looking forward to. After a couple of runs with Lucilius, especially our first runs, I ran with my friend and we both enjoyed the fight, especially the times where we were learning the mechanics. By the way, if you haven't completed the latest raid yet, I made a detailed and concise guide and you can check it after this video, and I'll link it in the description as well. The raid itself is not too crazy in terms of difficulty, and I'm already seeing players who are clearing it below 4 minutes. I also tend to compare it to the extreme difficulty trials in Final Fantasy XIV, and overall my group really enjoyed it, and pretty much we are excited about what the future fights will look like. Now that the actual raid is out of the way, let's move on to raid rewards and my thoughts about it. Of course, the latest raid is the new thing, and we've expected a great rewards from it. But in reality, we already received 3 new sigils. Note that all of these sigils will appear in Sierra's shop after you defeated Lucilius once, and can be traded with Tears of Apocalypse and Dark Residue, and both can be acquired by chance from the Lucilius fight. The first sigil on the list is Alpha, and its level 30 special trait, which provides 30% to all allies upon activating your SBA and boosts the normal attack damage cap by 40%. Second is Beta, which shortens skill cooldown by 10% upon activating your SBA and also adds 50% damage cap at level 30 trait. The last sigil on the list is Gamma, which increases the overall cap by 30% and grants a shield to the user that nullifies up to 50k damage upon activating your SBA. Also, all of the said sigils comes with a regular damage cap trait in combination with their special effects. Now on the offensive side of things, These new sigils are phenomenal in every way, and in order for them to be effective, you need to replace your regular damage cap 5+ sigils. However, the main question is, are you willing to sacrifice all of your utility traits for more damage? Because it is unlikely that our supplementary damage 5 will have its second trait anytime soon because of its abysmal rates. These are the only sigils that we will have room for utility traits, and God forbid if they intended this to happen and later on they will sell some supplementary damage 5+. If this happens, this is going to be a huge negative in my opinion. Overall, I find the Lucilius raid rewards underwhelming, especially since most players are waiting for a new weapon line as a grand reward to work on while waiting for the next update. So moving on to the next thing, which is online multiplayer matchmaking fix. Cygames stated that they already provided a fix where Steam players kept failing to find people online, especially in the Lucilius fight. I'm still experiencing this issue myself, and they even released a 1.1.2 update just to fix this issue, but still there are a lot of players commenting on my channel that they can still find more people online even when playing another quest. When it comes to Lucilius, it's either the majority of people who play offline and farming this guy down with AI, since we personally found AIs to be much reliable at times, or it's either the issue is still around. Let me know if you are still suffering from this issue as well in the comments. The next thing on the list is combat changes. More camera adjustments where they adjusted the camera to stay centered on a lock-on foe that's far away whenever possible, and adjusted camera lock-on behavior during the Tales of Bahamut Rage quest, which I experienced a lot in the past, so hopefully this will be fixed when I farm for more Terminus weapons. I want to say that on my end, I have noticed little to no changes aside from getting better angles compared in the past. I haven't tested these changes in all other bosses, but if you've noticed some improvements, let me know in the comments below. Moving on to link time adjustments, where Cygames adjusted the amount of link time extension granted by attacks, which was known to have caused link time to be extended for longer than intended. In my experience so far, I haven't encountered anyone who abused this, so let me know if you encountered a group or have seen people or retain link time like there is no tomorrow. I'd like the next adjustments where Cygames added visual and audio indicators to notify a player if their bumps have been removed. This is pretty useful for players who are optimizing their runs, and I mentioned in the past as well that a skill timer can also help tremendously instead of relying on icons and audio cues alone. The last thing on the list is they fixed a rare bug where a player wasn't able to aim throwable objects while playing online. I spammed a lot of evil quests in the past but didn't encounter this one in one bit, but good thing they already fixed it. Let's talk about quality of life changes. Although the majority of the most important quality of life changes that most players have been wanting for so long, they did improve a few things such as adjusting the speed of the mastery cursor and even adjusting the playback conditions of Godel voice lines when transmuting sigils. Godel is Sierra's parrot, but to be honest, I'm more concerned about Sierra's and her repetitive lines. I was so furious at first when I first thought they did not address the mass transmutation feature, but thank goodness they already confirmed that this feature will be added in an update soon. They haven't able to add it in the latest update because I think they ran out of time and instead focused on the major bug fixes and balances. As long as they confirm that, I'm pretty happy with it, but also hoping that they will also increase the item cap as well, since this is a huge time saver. There are a lot of changes that I didn't mention in this video, and in my opinion, these are the most important things in the recent updates. Overall, I find the last two updates just okay, and I'm pretty much happy to see that Cygames is seriously maintaining the game. However, I find the sigils really underwhelming as a reward, and I don't think that working on it will last till the next update, and players will surely run out of things to work on really fast. Let me know how are you holding up and what do you think about the latest updates. Do you find the latest updates great or just okay as well? Let's talk in the comments, and thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate you all.